What time's that?
It's time to go to hell, Alex. Development hell, that is. We have no blackface Jeremy Jans this week. We have no film in particular. We don't even have a franchise in particular. What do we have, Alex?
Well, you could say that it's Ride to Hell Retribution.
You could say it's Ride to Hell Retribution. Fully clothed sex scenes and all.
Oh, remember that game?
It was going to be a trilogy.
Christ. But yeah, of course we're talking about... This was your idea from the start, wasn't it?
This was my idea. This is one of the ideas I pitched for the season when we first relaunched.
And what better way to do it than, the DC cleanup, as we like to call it.
There will be some DC stuff in this.
Well, due to several cancellations, what did they cancel? Batgirl? The Flash is on the ropes at the minute. Although I think they're going to release it anyways.
Who knows about Blue Beetle?
No, I think Blue Beetle will be fine.
Oh. Supergirl might be cancelled.
That is cancelled, yes.
We don't know if both of the Black Superman projects are cancelled or not.
Oh yeah, they've all been cancelled.
Both of them?
Yeah. Yeah, the one J.J. Abrams was developing, that's been cancelled, which was Star of Black, Clark Kent. And then the one Michael B. Jordan was gunning for, Val Zod, that's also been cancelled, I believe. But anyways, we're here to pick up the pieces.
And laugh at them.
Yeah, so do you want to start?
Are we just doing DC films?
No, we're doing...
Alright.
Why did you think we were just solely doing DC films? I mean,
I got very concerned. I was like, I have none on my list.
I imagine this is the start of a series because there's that many development hell films out there.
You know what? Let's start out with some that saw the light of day in the end, in some way, shape, or form. Ghostbusters 3.
Ghostbusters 3, yes.
Do you know the story of Ghostbusters 3?
Famously, they were going to do it for years, but the problem was that Bill Murray fell out with Harold Ramis. But they reconciled towards the end, when he was dying of cancer, I believe.
Yeah, well, that wasn't the biggest reason. It was also the fact that Murray hated the script.
Yeah.
He never liked it, and he also didn't like Ghostbusters 2.
And I think the last, the video game they worked on.
Yeah.
I think they treated that as Ghostbusters 3. They were saying at the time.
It was loosely based on a script they had where the Ghostbusters go to hell. But it was actually following that film that Bill Murray was actually like, you know what, maybe.
Yeah. And
then I think the gears started going until Ramis died.
Yeah.
But they had... It was all... Because they kept threatening to basically do a version of Ghostbusters 3 without Bill Murray.
Yeah.
They just knew no one would see it.
Yeah, that is the problem.
They kept threatening and being like, well, write you out. And he was like, do it.
Yeah.
To the point where I think they were hoping they could coax him by starting production with him written out and then write him back in as a ghost.
Yeah. Which I don't know how they would do.
I mean, it's just...
Ultimately, after Hal Ramis' passing, they did the
Ghostbusters
remake. I haven't seen the film, so I don't know if it is a remake or a reboot. So.
It's a reboot.
Yeah. But is it just the first film completely changed?
No, it has nothing to do with Gozer.
Oh, okay, so it doesn't.
Gozer was being seen as the Thanos of it.
Yeah, okay.
So it was gonna.
So this was going to be like a franchise, essentially.
It was going to be 2 different films, and then a crossover between them. So,
which got cancelled.
Yeah. So all of this we can keep going back. So I think Ghost Corps is still around. Ghost Corps was established before Answer the Call, which is what the female one's been called since.
Yes.
And it was basically just to handle everything Ghostbusters Cinematic Universe, games, shows, fucking Primark t-shirts. Everything was going to be branded.
Or pennies if you're in Ireland.
or Pennies if you're in Ireland, or Primark if you're not, or if you're an actual English person.
Or JC Penney if you're in America.
You know what? We're just getting stuck here. Anyway, so it was gonna be. I think it was Chris Pratt and Channing Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
It was gonna be a buddy cop ghost busting film.
So sort of similar along the lines of the recent Men in Black international film.
Or R.I.P.D.
Yeah. Oh yeah, pretty much R.I.P.D.
Pretty much R.I.P.D.
Which it in itself is a poor man's Men in Black.
It in itself is Men in Black.
Yeah.
But you know Alex is feeling on Ryan Reynolds.
Yes. From the Blade episode.
I was about to say from the last episode, but then I forgot you did one without me. I don't watch ones I'm not in. Anyway, so the first film ended with basically one of them on a radio being like, "What does Gozer mean?" And then it was going to be the crossover in the end. It's going to be Gozer.
So is that like a post-credit scene type situation? Yeah. Christ. Because Bill Murray and the rest of the cast the other two came back to basically just make cameos in that film.
Bill Murray made cameo in that.
He did?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They came back to do the cameos for that film just because, of Harold Ramis,
yeah. And then Rick Moranis was offered to come back but turned it down.
Yeah,
I can't remember if Sigourney Weaver did that. He says he's not retired, he's just selective.
Well, he hasn't made the film
he's
in
retired.
20.
He hasn't made a film in 20 years. And then it did so bad they finally did make a form of Ghostbusters 3 in Ghostbusters Afterlife.
I treat it like a legacy film in that kind of regard. Where, when, like Blade Runner, for an example, they were going to do a direct sequel to that for years, and instead they did do a legacy film, and that kind of happens a lot of these films, where it's just been so long it's easier to do a legacy film than a direct sequel.
But Answer the Call was more of a remake, whereas this one was in the same canon.
Yeah. And apparently it was very good. Apparently everyone liked it that watched it. I personally haven't seen it.
It was fine.
Yeah. Because I think, from what I heard from people, it's just like, yeah, it was pretty much what we kind of wanted to see for a third one, but, ultimately, we got a shitty reboot before that.
I think if they do a... It was interesting, actually, what Jason Reitman... That was who directed, wasn't it?
Yeah, son of Ivan Reitman. He did the first two.
It was interesting what he said about the Paul Feig film. So he was like, "We're actually incredibly thankful he made that film because no one would have approved a female kid Ghostbuster if he had never done that."
That's probably true. Yeah.
He's like, "You never would have gotten away with what we did if he hadn't done that."
Mm.
So,
I think a lot that happens with a lot of the kind of films where it does get like a bad reboot. And then they come back with a good legacy film later on.
Yeah. Well, I can tie that into my next one if you want to if you want me to continue.
Of course.
Evil Dead 4.
Yes. Oh, please go into detail with the original plan of the series.
I actually don't know what the original Evil Dead 4 was.
That's
something you could help. I just know that it was in development for fucking years after Army of Darkness.
Yes, and then they did the remake.
But 4 was still supposed to come out when the reboot came out, and it was supposed to cross over in Evil Dead 5.
Well, yes, that's what I know. Whereas it wasn't actually meant to be a reboot; it was meant to be set, technically in the same canon, because they were building up to them two teaming up, to in a film later on.
But then they couldn't get Evil Dead 4 off the ground, and Evil Dead remake actually did quite well, and it just didn't get a sequel.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to move ahead with Evil Dead 4 to the point where it just ended up too long for it to be relevant.
Yeah, well, I think the problem with a situation like that is when you have this thing that did well that has no connections really to the previous three.
You have to strike when the iron's hot.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense to do a sequel to those compared to just a sequel to the one that just came out, if you know what I mean, that did well.
And then eventually Evil Dead 4 moved ahead, but as Ash versus Evil Dead.
Yeah, that got turned into the Got 2 seasons before it got cancelled, I think.
It got 2 seasons, and the 3rd season was supposed to be fucking bonkers. And then it got cancelled.
Because I think I was chatting to people who have watched it and they do enjoy it.
Yeah.
Personally, I haven't seen it. I've only seen the Army of Darkness. I've only seen Army of Darkness, and I've only seen the reboot. That came out. I think at some stage we'll do an episode on the whole series, because it is something I do kind of want to watch. I want to watch those first 2 films. Apparently the second one's meant to be very, very good.
I never hear anyone talk about Evil Dead 2. Only 1 and 3.
Oh, really? Because apparently the second one does the perfect blend. Where, like, the first film, while it is trying to be kind of very Raimi, a mixture of corny and horror, it is more horror implemented. Whereas the second one is kind of like the perfect in-between. And then Army of Darkness just goes full-on comedy.
Yeah.
And then the remake was just, no, this is a horror.
And then I think the show was more comedy.
Yeah, it was more akin to Army of Darkness, yeah. Yeah, no, that is an interesting
but...
thing. Huh?
Wasn't there also... Was this supposed to happen, or was it just a comment? Because I believe there was also... one of the Freddy vs. Jason sequel ideas was Ash versus Freddy vs. Jason.
Well, yeah, there was a part of that. There was also... That was actually going to be one of mine. So what we basically did, just to clarify, I mean, I got a ton of shit, and Adam got a ton of shit, and we didn't really converse about which ones we were going to talk about. We were just going to kind of surprise each other. But like, I was going to kind of tie that into the Freddy versus Jason thing, because that was an idea for a sequel at one point. The original idea for the sequel was going to be a Pinhead from Hellraiser was going to be in there, and it was going to be Pinhead, Freddy, and Jason in hell, essentially.
That was allegedly the original ending of Freddy vs. Jason.
They couldn't get the rights to Pinhead, which was the problem. But yeah, no, I could see. I'm still very surprised they've not tried to do that, even with, because I know there was a Michael Myers tie-in at one stage to this franchise. I imagine there was probably going to be a Candyman tie-in, and I think now we're in the stage where all these things are kind of getting legacy films. That I think after all these films get legacy films, we'll go beyond that, and we'll probably go back to that stupid sort of crossover idea thing, because people will kind of want it then.
I think we're nearly done with the crossover films.
You think?
Yeah, I think Marvel have seconded it.
Solely because of yeah, I know what you mean.
I think the shows have killed it.
Yeah. But do you mean in terms of... Well, I think it's just because that they're all set in the same universe, whereas shit like that isn't.
Yeah.
But I can see your point, like...
I think things like Godzilla and Kong are fine because they're
just kaiju films.
They're just kaiju films, yeah.
And everyone kind of expects that. But moving swiftly onwards, I want to talk about the Hellraiser remake.
Ooh, what a...
So, famously...
What a flow to this podcast.
Well, famously... Well, a lot of these will tie in. So
I'm waiting with my list for the... Just give me a buzzword.
Well, like, famously, this film was going to get a remake of the original 1987 film back in 2006, and Clive Barker announced this, who was the writer of the book and also the director of the first film. And then, like, there was a lot of problems, fell into, like, production issues, there was creative differences, and then they announced again in 2010 that, right, we're going to get these writers on to do it. And then in 2011 it kind of fell apart again. And then 2013 it was announced again they were going to do one. And Doug Bradley was going to come back as Pinhead. Because at this point, Doug Bradley, who plays Pinhead, had been in every portrayed Pinhead in every Hellraiser film. Except one. Because, as he said himself, it was so shit that it was, like, I couldn't... Like, most of the Hellraiser series has been direct-to-DVD. And yet, even then, it was awful. Famously, one of Henry Cavill's first films, yes. The weird video game one. But, yeah, so in 2019, I think it was, David S. Goyer, our friend, came on and said he's starting writing it with 2 other people.
Oh, we'll all look forward to that.
Yes, and what essentially happened is in October 2021, they had finished filming it. So this is actually coming out.
Oh,
right?
Shit.
And a lot of controversy. Because Pinhead will be portrayed by... he'll be portrayed by a woman this time around. Which a lot of people aren't.
Is it a sequel or a reboot?
It's a reboot sort of a thing. I'm not sure if it's going to be... The problem with this I can completely understand if they do it as a remake, because I don't know if they're going to do a remake of the first film or if it's going to be more of an adaptation of the original book.
Yeah.
Because in the original book, Pinhead is a woman.
Oh, okay, but people are complaining still.
They might do it like that. I don't know if it is going to be that. There's really nothing on it. Apparently it's meant to come out this year. I've heard nothing on it though.
It's going straight to Netflix.
It's going straight to Hulu.
Oh.
So I know they've had... You never know. Prey's doing well, so maybe the weird Hellraiser remake will do well. Yeah, I just find it... Like, I am a Hellraiser fan. I'm just worried because I don't like the director. It's from the director of VHS.
Oh, that is rough.
So I don't see this being a good film. That being said... Huh?
Oh, I just was thinking of legacy films.
Oh, yeah. No, but, like, this is actually going to come out. This was something that's been in development hell for, like, fucking 20 years nearly, and it is actually going to fucking come out finally.
Because both Friday and Nightmare have been in development hell for about 10 years.
Mm. Well, I think it's because they both got remakes.
Yeah, and they both didn't do well.
Yeah, well, the problem with the Nightmare on Elm Street one was... I hate Nightmare on Elm Street, by the way. Just as a franchise, I've never enjoyed any of them. Although I've watched 8.
Even Freddy vs. Jason?
I've watched 8. No, I've not seen it. I've not
Okay.
seen it. Not yet.
That one I enjoy.
I've watched 8 or 9. I watched up until Jason Takes Manhattan. So I haven't seen Jason Goes to Hell. I haven't seen Jason X, and I haven't seen Freddy v Jason or the remake.
Okay.
So
the reboot, I think, did do well, but wasn't it a rights issue?
It was the one set in the Transformers universe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we explain that?
I think anyone who watches this probably already watches Mr. Sunday movies, but we might as well.
Why did they do an episode on it?
I think that was where I first heard it. So basically, the bully character in Friday the 13th,
Trevor, I think,
also appears in Michael Bay's Transformers
as Trevor.
Yeah,
and Michael Bay did produce the remake.
So he got his comeuppance in the end.
Mm.
Yeah, but Elijah Wood has been trying to get Nightmare off the ground.
Oh, really?
For ages now.
Because they had a great person to portray Freddy.
In the remake.
In
the remake.
Well, yeah, because it wasn't Robert Englund, famously.
So this gets even fucking weirder. Robert Englund has played Freddy. He said he was too old to do it, which is he was getting old.
Yeah.
But Elijah was like, we want to get the franchise going again, but at least for the first film, you need Freddy to get this franchise back, and Freddy is Robert Englund.
Yeah.
And Robert Englund changed his fucking mind because they somehow convinced him to play Freddy on the fucking Goldbergs.
Why?
I don't know. And this was maybe about 2-3 years ago.
And this was a joke, obviously, yeah.
A whole sequence of him as Freddy. A whole dream sequence in the Goldbergs.
And it's been years. I don't remember the last time he played them.
He did it as a favour to someone. Last time he did it was Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah. I was thinking.
He maybe has done it for some charity events since, but that was the last time he played Freddy.
Because they got Jackie Earle Haley to play him in the remake, which I think was good casting, personally.
The design was just a little weird.
Yeah. But I think it was in that period of time where everything was getting remakes that were weird, like Halloween.
Yeah.
Hellraiser still didn't get it, though.
It's not as big of an IP, though.
Yeah, weirdly. Same as Candyman. Candyman's only had 3 films prior to the Legacy film.
That is weird. So yeah, who knows if that Friday reboot's gonna happen? But Robert Englund's apparently now up for it. But I think, yeah, it's Elijah Wood who's apparently gonna be doing it.
It's quite strange. What, directing or just producing or in it? Or?
I have no idea, but this has been talked about since like 2018 or 19 now.
And just take COVID into mind.
Yeah, take COVID into mind, and also every year it probably becomes more unlikely with Robert Englund
being older. Yeah.
But look, I thought Indy 5 wasn't going to happen, so who knows?
True.
And the thing is with Freddy, like, they can... Oh, he doesn't need to be there for most of it. Like, he mainly just needs to be there to dub it.
Yeah.
So...
Do you want me to do another one, or...?
That was one I just did off the cuff.
Oh,
I didn't actually have that on my list. I can do one if you want.
Sure. I don't mind.
Have you seen... Are you looking forward to Triplets?
Oh god, I have a... Yeah, go on.
Right, I fucking been looking into this. Because I didn't even know... I knew this movie when it was first announced. Because it was originally announced as Eddie Murphy being the triplet.
Yeah.
And it's really funny hearing Arnold talk about it. Because he's asked, well, how will it be Eddie Murphy? Like, how does that work? He goes, it will be very funny. It'll just be some issue with the sperm. And that's just all Arnold said about it. Well, he's like, you can imagine Arnold laughing to us at me. It's just some issue with the sperm. Well, probably smoking a cigar.
Yes. Oh.
And that's all he had to say about it.
And this was like 2011. This got announced.
2012. It got
announced. 2012. Sorry, yes.
And then you didn't hear anything till 2015, where they said, "Oh yeah, it's definitely moving forward."
And then it was
Eddie's
last year,
attached.
was it?
Well, so Ivan Reitman was attached to produce.
Yes.
And then
he passed away recently.
So the script, they had a big falling out, I think, and then no one really liked the script. I think Arnold and Danny didn't like the script. And then and then nothing happened. But then it was then moving forward, and it was supposed to be part of Eddie Murphy's comeback run, which started with his stand-up return, and then Coming to America 2.
Well, before that it was Dolomite.
Yeah, but like this is the 3 things where he's bringing back his old stuff, because he's bringing back Beverly Hills Cop too. He's bringing back Beverly Hills Cop as well as part of his comeback run, and it was supposed to go along with that. And then he dropped out of it. Yeah. And then I was at an Arnold Schwarzenegger Q&A at a bodybuilding convention.
Oh, yes,
where then someone asked him about triplets. And he says, yeah, we've got Tracy Morgan attached.
You asked him?
No, someone asked him.
Oh, right. Yeah, Tracy Morgan, yeah. Yeah, that got in there.
That's Tracy Morgan's going to take the role.
Which I think's quite good, actually. He's very funny. Ever see Cop Out?
It was amazing.
But apparently Kevin Smith was saying, he was like, yeah, he's the only reason I made it through that film.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he was like cheering everyone up.
That's good. But and then it was all set to film this January, but Ivan Reitman died, and now we have no clue.
Yeah,
it was supposed to be this January past, so now no one knows what's happening with triplets.
I imagine, well, unless Jason comes to do it, but I think he's kind of busy helming the Ghostbusters
Ivan was
sequels
never
now.
directing it; he was just producing it. But that's just completely thrown all of it.
Well, I mean, it's
so
son
the movie
Jason.
Is, the movie was almost out of development hell.
Yeah,
and went straight back in.
I think the only reason Jason Reitman wouldn't do it is because he's already kind of carried on
Ghost Core's on him
thing. Yeah, you know, I don't think he wants to do another kind of franchise type situation.
Yeah, well, I don't think Triplets is going to get like a sequel, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think it's just been that long now. That's 10 years since the Eddie Murphy confirmation.
Yeah.
You know.
But now, like, fucking, I think everyone just loves Danny and Arnold so much.
Yeah, I think this is like the last time they'll be peak. Because they are old now. Like, I don't see them kind of doing much. I know Danny's just doing more comedy based shit, like, and Arnold's still a bit of a cunt. But I don't like Arnold. Just as a person. It's just what I'm going to do every episode. I just call out someone I don't like.
I'm guessing so. I mean, have you done anyone else yet today, or has it just been Arnold?
No. Right here, I'll do the double entendre type situation. Right, I hate Arnold as a person, but I like Stallone as a person. Except for his weird Rocky stance and things. You know, where he sold the rights and he's complaining now. I'm like, you did sell the rights to this franchise, though.
I think they probably promised him a creative consultant job that they didn't fulfill.
Promises aren't contracts. That's the sad thing. Would you like me to talk about the Square Enix universe?
Oh my god, yeah, go for it.
Now, have you heard this?
It was supposed to start with Vikander's Tomb Raider, wasn't
Well, it was starting with a reboot of Tomb Raider initially. Back in 2009, and like the people they wanted is Lara Croft, right?
Hayley Atwell, wasn't it?
No, Olivia Wilde.
Okay.
Christian Stewart. And Megan Fox. Which I've still always found quite weird that they've never really gone for an English actress to play Lara Croft. I always find that quite strange. But after Force Awakens came out, they were looking at Daisy Ridley, but obviously she was kind of busy. Which I think she, you know, I was at least like, oh well, you know, we'll get, you know, an English actress to do it. But I think after the remake came out, when did that come out? 2012? 2013? 2013.
It was like just before the new generation, because it was one of the first big like definitive
editions came out that January or whatever. Then
yeah.
The actress who plays Lara Croft there, she was meant to do it because she fucking looks like Lara Croft, right? But they, for some reason, they're like, no, we don't want to associate with this with the games. To which they eventually made the film
adapted the game
poorly, essentially. So apparently that was going to start, like they were trying to do that to be the start of the Square Enix universe, shared universe as they called it. But the real true version of the start of this universe was going to be Hitman Agent 47, which Adam famously knows I love as a film.
It's the only Hitman. I haven't seen the other Hitman.
You've not seen that? We need to do a Hitman episode.
No, I've seen Agent 47. I haven't seen the original.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. We need to do a Hitman episode. Them two films. Oh, we have to. First one's actually not that bad. The problem is fucking Olaf Fantastic plays him.
It's supposed to be Paul Walker in Agent 47.
Oh, really? Originally?
Yeah.
Huh. So yeah, they were going to kick off with 47. They announced Just Cause.
Which is funny now, because Square Enix now don't even own Agent 47.
Yeah, or Tomb Raider.
Do they not?
Nah. That got sold ages ago. Yeah, sure, the third game that came out of that remake wasn't published by them.
No.
So they didn't do that. Just Cause was going to star Javier Bardem. It's still in development hell, that film. I think he's such a strange casting to play Rico. I just can't see him as Rico. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could see fucking Pedro Pascal, you know, or
nowadays, but
Oscar Isaac.
Antonio Banderas.
Oh yeah, but bit late now.
Rico is an older character though.
Yeah, but he's not doing that shit anymore. He does more kind of like non-action based roles. So it was going to be Tomb Raider, Hitman. Yep. They were going to do Deus Ex. Okay, don't know how they were going to adapt that. Just Cause.
Connect that.
And they were going to also have Thief. Now,
were these going to be connected?
Oh, these were a shared universe. I don't know how this was going to be connected though, because it's not like Ubisoft where it's like, oh, this makes sense. This could be connected.
Oh, it's just all at the same time.
Yeah. I just don't understand how Thief could be connected to fucking Tomb Raider, and Tomb Raider could be connected to Deus Ex. I don't, you know, I get Just Cause and Hitman and Tomb Raider, but not Thief and Deus Ex, you know.
Unless you just poorly adapt both of them. Which they probably would have done. But how would you cross them over?
I have no idea. So the guy who was producing the Hitman films, he was the guy who pitched this, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be like, like basically the Kevin Feige type of that." But he sort of admitted that he doesn't own the rights to Tomb Raider, so it all kind of fell apart.
What would have been funny is a film where Hitman's or 47's just given the contract to kill Enrico.
That would be an interesting film. That was how you would tie that in, though. It'd be weird. I don't know. But yeah, so obviously
I don't know how Lara Croft was getting involved.
I don't know either. But so eventually, the film did come out. Alicia Vikander played her in that terrible, terrible remake. Well, it's not really a remake, is it? It is a reboot.
It's a reboot, yeah.
Yeah, and so recently, the rights have lapsed. So the sequel to that film's not coming out.
In development hell for fucking years.
Yeah, well, it's not happening now because of the rights issue. Well, I think COVID fucked that because they were gonna start, and then COVID happened, and they were like, fuck it,
it was gonna be such a big production.
Yeah, I just don't see how that was ever kind of gonna happen. But moving on from moving towards video games a bit more. Uncharted, Adam.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So, Uncharted started shortly after The Fighter came out. Because it was going to be another collaboration between Mark Wahlberg and your man.
Well, it was in development since 2008.
That was around the time The Fighter came out. Yeah. But those were the two attached.
With film producer Avi Arad.
Yeah, of course.
That's the red flag straight away.
You could see by my reaction. So. And it was just stuck in development hell for years, but it's going to be Mark Wahlberg as Nathan Drake.
Yep.
From the start, Mark Wahlberg as Nathan Drake, and it just kept getting delayed because who fucking directed The Fighter?
Oh, was he going to direct it?
He was going to direct it, yeah.
David O. Russell.
David O. Russell,
one of the worst directors in the world.
Piece of shit, apparently, as well.
Oh, so God, I don't want to go into that.
He was going to direct it, and I think he dropped out quite quickly.
Mm.
But yeah, so then it just kept floating and floating and floating, and the Uncharted series kind of
after 3.
Uncharted, well, yeah, there was that big fucking gap because you had 2008 and 2007 Uncharted came out. Yeah, 2 years every Uncharted came out, and then 2 Uncharted games came out in 2011 if you count the Vita spin-off.
Yeah.
Which was the only reason anyone bought that fucking console.
Mm. And then the fan film came out. Was the fan film come out before the fourth one?
No, the fan film was after the fourth one.
Okay. Because the fourth one came out in 2016 or 2017?
16.
Yeah.
So the fan film came out already when I believe the Tom Holland one was kind of moving along.
Yeah.
Because remember, it was a little bit too little too late.
Mm.
So yeah, but as soon as Uncharted was announced, everyone wanted a big bunch of fans had Nathan Fillion for the role. Nathan Fillion also kept saying he wanted the role, but I think what people who didn't want him for the role kept saying was that he was too old for the role, even though he was the same age as Mark Wahlberg.
Mm.
But he was just never going to get hired because you couldn't bank. Fillion was never a bankable fucking name.
No. He was always side character. Even in Bones. Or no, it wasn't it wasn't Bones. What was the other one?
Castle,
that was it.
I was thinking he wasn't in Bones.
Yeah. It's that other guy, that other generic white guy.
And the film just never came out.
Mm.
Cut to after Uncharted 4. The franchise is wrapped up.
Mm-hmm.
So they can kind of do whatever they want with it now. It doesn't really matter.
And Sony were like, right, we need a bankable star that we own, essentially.
And they wanted to make their own star. And Tom Holland was cast. I can't remember if Tom Holland was cast after Civil War or after Homecoming. Might even been after Homecoming.
I think it was Far From Home, wasn't it?
No, it was not that late.
Alright.
It was not that late.
Yeah.
He was cast years before filming started. That was only a year before filming.
Mm.
So, I have a theory about this film, though.
You watched this film, didn't you?
I watched this film recently, and it's painfully average.
Yeah, from the trailer.
I'm fairly certain Bieber was going to get the role before Tom Holland got it.
Really?
Yeah, and no one's ever picked up on this.
Why? Why do you think that, though?
All because of a clip from the Graham Norton show where Mark Wahlberg talks about the moment he got old. He was talking about how for years he was going to do this old man, young man film. And eventually the studio came forward and said, yeah, we're moving ahead with it. And he said, oh, cool. Do you want me to call up Jack Nicholson or someone because I'm playing golf with him at the minute? He might be up for it. He was like, no, you're playing the old man. We're thinking of Bieber for the young guy. And that was the end of the story. And I was like, that was definitely Uncharted. Because he said his role flipped from the young guy to the old guy.
Yeah.
Who the fuck else is that going to be? It's going to be Drake and Sully.
Yeah. It's quite strange.
And then Tom Holland got it, so I'm fairly certain Bieber was going to get the role at one point.
That's very weird.
So, I don't know if anyone's commented on this anywhere else online, so this could be a State of Podcast original.
Justin Bieber starring in Uncharted.
Bieber was going to be Nathan Drake.
Very weird. Well, you watched the film. Does it set up like its own kind of... Is it going to set up its own kind of shared universe thing, or do you think it's just going to be a trilogy thing?
It's just going to be its own thing. It might have spin-offs of its own characters, but it's not going to be tied into like Last of Us or any of that.
Yeah, because I know that's what they're trying to do at the minute. Because I know Last of Us was in development hell for years, and then they're like, "Fuck it, TV show." And that's still being done at the minute. I think it's almost finished filming.
I think it's finished filming. Pardon me. Yeah. That's funny. Well, Assassin's Creed was another video game one that was in development for years.
Yes.
I'm fair. Like, that originally started out as an Ezio movie with Fassbender, I'm fairly certain.
And then eventually became its own kind of... Right, it's in the universe, but it's
Well, that was when they were really trying to get their universe going.
Yeah.
Because that was when, they really started making the connections between Far Cry and Watch Dogs. Yeah. And you could really start to see the
before that, there was only loose kind of... Right, here's a reference. And then it just kind of became... Right, these are set in the same universe.
Well, the Watch Dogs one was the one that did that.
Yeah. Because, before, Far Cry 3 had Abstergo logos and stuff.
Yeah.
Where you go to a weird Abstergo underground facility. Yeah. Should we move on from video games for a period of time?
Can do.
And come back to it. Popeye.
Oh, okay. How long's this been? It was supposed to be an animated film, wasn't it?
So yeah, it was going to be a 3D animated film, and there is leaked footage of this.
The footage looked good.
Yeah, it didn't look that bad. And
was it the studio that did the Peanuts movie?
It was Sony Animation.
Oh, okay.
And so 2010, I think that it started development. It got cancelled in 2017. It was going to be directed by Genndy Tartakovsky. All right, famously we all know and love his art style. And so I find it weird that it was going to be 3D, given that he usually does 2D animation. Famously Clone Wars and Samurai Jack, to name a few. Recently Primal. And so it got cancelled in 2017, but then in 2020, King Features Syndicate announced that it started development and Tartakovsky was returning. So this might be coming out, but we've heard nothing on it since. And we know that, animated films tend to take a couple of years to fucking make, especially from scratch, essentially. And I think... Not
these days. Not if you're fucking Blue Sky.
Well, that's true. But, I think it's because now we're in the realm of we can bring these kind of characters back. I think recently with Scoob, people started... And the Peanuts movie, people were like, alright, we can just bring back shit that was really old for a new audience. Well, huh?
Scoob didn't do too well, though.
Scoob didn't do too well, but you give it sort of a fair share because it was during COVID.
I think people who watched Scoob said it was crap.
Oh, really? Because
it was about Scooby-Doo fighting the devil.
Yeah, and it was setting up its own kind of shared universe Hanna-Barbera thing.
Well, Dick Dastardly was one of the villains, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which you just have to love the fact that the idea was to lead to a wacky races movie.
Should we talk about Zach?
Which one was Zach?
Well, there's several projects he's had in development. There was one which was a King Arthur story set during the Gold Rush.
Oh, this is Dream Film one, isn't it?
That was one of his films that he had. One of his dream films was going to be like a massive epic of George Washington come to America, or like about George Washington and like the formation of America, right? There was another project where he was going to be working on with Christian Bale starring. He was going to be playing a wartime photographer. But the one that has gotten a lot of traction recently, just in the COVID kind of times, has been the third 300 film that he pitched. So famously, the second 300 film. Have you seen the 300 films?
No.
So
no, I've seen the second one.
The first, really? You didn't watch the first?
Fucking you know yourself, divorced parents and weekends. You have
to. So the first one came out, everyone loved it, massive success. They were trying to do a sequel for years. They were trying to get Zach to do the sequel. Ultimately, he couldn't when they were going to start working on it because he was doing BVS. Great film. So he just kind of stayed on as producer, and he did sort of a loose story outline. And the second film is, a prequel, midquel, and sequel. But it sort of ends on a bit of a cliffhanger where it's like, all right, we're going to lead into the big final one now. And since it came out in 2014, there's been no word on it. There was no word on a third film for years. And now it's been that long that it's the gap between that last film and this third one that they were going to do has been longer than the first and second film, which people at the time said was even ridiculous saying because it was 8 years.
300's a weirdly big IP though. They could probably still do it.
Yeah. Well,
people
Zach pitched it as an Alexander film. So he was pitching it that it was going to be about Alexander, and it was going to be a wartime epic with a gay romance. And Warner were like, no. And I think it was solely because they don't want to work with him.
Probably.
And I think this was when he was working on Zack Snyder's Justice League. He pitched this during COVID. Because, when lockdown hit, he came up with the idea for the third film, and they just shut it down straight away. They're like, yeah, no, we're not doing that with you. Which I think's weird. Because I don't think you could do 300 without him, because he basically established the entire aesthetic of those two films. Even though he didn't direct the second film, it's he so clearly produced it.
It's like when you watch Wonder Woman.
100%, night and day. Although this is another film I don't think we're going to be seeing anytime soon. Sadly. I don't mind the 300 films for what they are. I kind of like that strange mythological aspects with just the pure, brutal Frank Miller sort of esque stuff. Do you have any more on your list?
None
to segue.
No, I didn't have a good segue in there. Clerks 3.
Yes.
That's coming out finally. So it was after Clerks 2. He kind of jokingly said, "Maybe in 10 years." And I think around 2012 he began moving forward with Clerks 2. So it's about 6 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all set to go ahead in 2015. I think they were planning to film. But then it got shelved for Mallrats 2 because I think Mallrats is a bigger IP.
Twilight of the Mallrats.
And so then it got said, we'll push this aside for a bit and we'll work on Mallrats 2.
Yeah.
But then Mallrats 2 got changed into a TV show, which then took more time and then got cancelled.
Yeah.
And then going back to Clerks 3, the guy who played Randall didn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the script was done, he just wasn't happy with it.
Yeah.
did not like it.
And then that got turned into Reboot.
Well, Kevin had the heart attack then, which then spurred on Reboot, and then Reboot spurred on Clerks 3.
Yeah. Because Kevin was talking about it with Jeff Anderson, and it was when they were signing stuff, for Reboot or whatever, or just a random convention, but this was post-Reboot. They kind of bonded and stuff, and they came up with their kind of like what they would do for a Clerks 3, and then he started writing it.
He did a different script then.
Yeah, and he liked that more. And it's looking good. It is finally coming out. I'm excited for it.
It's soon. It's really soon.
Yeah, it's September. Like, it's mental. I'm just happy and excited to see a View Askew film in cinema for once. Because I was going to originally watch Reboot.
Yeah, same.
Because I thought it was a reboot. And I was just like, oh yeah, I watched Clerks, I'll watch this, and then I didn't get around to watching it because it was in the cinema, and thank God.
Probably the best.
Yeah, because I think my opinions on that would be very different, and I'd be very confused.
You know how I did it.
Yeah, I don't know how.
It was just because it was like on Now TV.
Yeah.
I wanted to watch these. I watched it. I was like, I have no clue what was happening here. Yeah. I went back and watched the other ones, and then rewatched Reboot and went, okay.
It is kind of like watching Infinity War or Endgame even, mainly.
A little bit different, because I think you can still kind of get it, because that's just action films.
Yeah, true.
Reboot is just all fucking jokes laughing at old jokes.
Yeah, it just references the shit you don't get if you haven't watched the other shit.
And I was like, I want to watch the rest of this.
This is a teaser. We will be doing a View Askew episode prior to Clerks 3.
Yeah, probably. So, and then if you look at Mallrats 2, like, that's finally moving ahead. I think a big thing with Mallrats 2 didn't your man retire after Alvin and the Chipmunks? Jason
Lee retired, and then he basically came back for Reboot, and then he was like, yeah, I'll do Mallrats. Because I think he was just raising his kids, and I was like, yeah, fair. A lot of actors do that, where they just retire for a bit because they're having kids.
We also got a bit burnt out, I think.
Yeah.
He did 4 Alvin and the Chipmunks films. He did so many seasons of My Name is Earl.
Well, that was the main sort of thing, really. Alvin Chipmunks was a bit of a cash grab.
Yeah, we fucking hated them.
Yeah. So, yeah, speaking of Kevin Smith, Die Hard 4.
Oh, no.
Die Hard 4 was in development hell for years, right? And now I'm not really going to talk too much about it, because what I really want to talk about is McClane. McClane
Die Hard 0, you mean?
Yeah, McClane was gonna basically be Bruce Willis talking to someone about his first time as a cop, and it was essentially gonna be a prequel, but also a sequel, so it was gonna just constantly... It was kind of like The Godfather Part 2, where they were gonna constantly switch between the two timelines.
So it was like a case that was gonna go like from the past to the present.
Yeah. So like it would be established, and then, towards the end of the film, it would be all in the present, and they would, solve it then or whatever. And so that was in development hell for years. I think after working with Joseph Gordon-Levitt on Looper, he wanted Joseph Gordon-Levitt to play a younger version of him, just because he did such a good job of playing a younger version of him before, just with his mannerisms and stuff. And yeah, I imagine now it's definitely shelved and cancelled because he's retiring.
Well, they could probably still do it, but just get rid of the modern aspect of it.
Yeah. But at the same time, is it Die Hard without Bruce Willis?
I mean, when's that stopped people before?
Well, every Die Hard film is Bruce Willis. No, I think it would be very hard to sell. Do you know what I mean? Be like making...
We'll see how Creed does this year.
Creed's different, though. Creed's not
Creed's
a Rocky film.
Example is of a legacy film.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, Creed wasn't in development hell.
Yeah. I
assumed that would be... I looked it up because I was like, that's going to be the kind of film that just sat in development hell.
It just came out of nowhere, and they're like, yeah, we want to do this. And I was like, okay, let's go.
They were trying to figure out how to do a Rocky 7 for a while. But I think it was never anything really serious. I think they were just like, we can do something with this franchise.
And now they're doing Drago.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of a smart move. because at least they announced this before the third one comes out. So this won't come out before the third one, which I think is a smart thing to do. You know how a lot of franchises like, fuck, the Batman is what it's doing now. Yeah, it's like we're getting spin-offs and we've only done one film, like, or we're doing the second one you can sort of get away with, but even then it's a bit weird. Yeah, no, a bit strange, but sadly, because I think that would have been a Die Hard film that brought it back to its roots, and it would have been a good film because it's an interesting concept, but I just don't see it happening at all.
I think it would have been quite convoluted.
Yeah, well, it just depends who they would have got to do it. Because I think it had been that long that they would have got a good director to do it.
It was not that long after Die Hard 5 that was talked about. So I think Die Hard 5 was 2012, 2013. I want to say that
2013, yeah.
It was a Die Hard. It was announced first as Die Hard 0, and I believe it was announced like 2015, 2016.
Yeah, and then shit like Logan was coming out, and they were like, fuck it, we'll just get Colt McClane.
Well, I think also, yeah, they wanted to probably pitch as a new franchise with the younger McClane actor.
Yeah. I could definitely see that. But speaking of classic action from the 80s and 90s, Alien vs. Predator.
Fucking hell, that was in production a hot minute.
Alien vs. Predator was technically announced when Predator 2 came out because you saw that tie-in.
Was this the Predator skull?
It was the Predator skull, and there'd always been comics and stuff, and everyone was like, we want to see these two fight out, and everyone in comics has fought Alien, and everyone in comics has fought the fucking Predator, from Judge Dredd to Batman. And the intention was, it was planned with Predator 2. And the idea was it was going to be released in 93. And then obviously it all kind of like fell apart. There was a lot of films planned, like there was a lot of Predator films, there was a lot of Alien films planned in the 90s. I still find it weird
that's gone on until today. That's always 100%.
Happened.
And what's even funnier? Whenever they're at a crossroads, even now, they still try and cross them over.
Well, this is what I want to say. Disney announced that they are working on an Alien vs. Predator crossover film at some point.
Yeah.
And I think what they're going to do is, because Disney are being very smart about it, they did Prey as a Hulu film. So if that didn't do well, you could just be like, it's a Hulu film. But it did do well, so it was a great non-risk situation following The Predator. Yeah. Although that film had been worked on since like 2016.
Well, the weird thing about The Predator is people are just like, why didn't they just make it? They just left it too long to make a sequel to Predators, which people actually wanted.
I don't know why. Awful film. Really hated that film. A lot of people don't understand that, all the plot points from The Predator were meant to be in Predators, only they didn't do it for budgetary reasons. And you can completely see why the studio were like, we don't want to do that. So technically the thing about the Predator films is technically they are all set in the same universe.
Well, the thing is, AVP still canon to the Predator franchise, yes, but not to the Alien franchise.
Yes.
Because of the Predators.
Yeah.
Or Predators. The Predator.
Like, they do fit in canonically, and they do kind of work, and there is references and shit. Like, even the Predator can be still canon. I think the smart thing for them to do is to just go back into the past. But I think, we're seeing recently with a lot of pitches. Remember I sent you stuff about, make a feudal Japan Predator film.
Xenomorph.
And I'm like, what is the first rule of the Predator? Why is the first Predator film set in the jungle? Because the Predator can only survive in a hot climate. This is the problem with these sequels that people keep trying to do. Alien vs. Predator just threw it out the window, and it was like, listen, it's fucking Alien vs. Predator, but you can't do it for an actual Predator film. That is why The Predator failed. Predators gets away with it because the climate is their climate, essentially. Yeah. And this is why I think Prey gets away with it because it's set in America and it is fucking roasting. Predator 2 gets away with it because it's set during a heat wave. But I think it's just something people overlook, and I think, yes, the Caribbean version of Predator works because it's in the fucking Caribbean, like, fucking roasting. But listen, if you're gonna make fan-made up shit, at least follow the fucking rules. Although I think, that's what they're doing with Prey at the minute, with the Predator franchise. They're still working on the Alien TV show, which is gonna be shit. Because it's set prior to Alien, and it's set on Earth.
Oh, so is this like a Whedon-Yutani thing?
No, it's an Alien film, or a TV show.
It's about the Xenomorphs.
Yeah.
On Earth.
Prior to the first one.
Is the prequel series still canon?
No, no one knows. Because that's a film that's in development hell, the third one of that.
That was one I looked into recently. Scott,
he keeps talking about it. He talked about it last year. Last year was the last time I heard him talk about it. He still wants to make it, he said. But the way I looked about it, I was talking to Dave about this. He's 80.
And his last two films didn't do well.
I don't think that matters. Robin Hood didn't do well. He hasn't had a good string of good, successful films, but he still manages to get work just because he's a good director. And I think the problem with that is Covenant performed well. Prometheus performed well for what they were.
They also just had way too much time between them.
Yeah. And I think that it's worse now because it's been longer. Well, actually, this year has been... It's 5 years since the last one. Yeah. And that's the exact same time with the other two.
Because it was originally supposed to be... It was 2 more films. 3 more films. There's 5 films originally.
Mm-hmm.
And now if it happens, it will just be a trilogy.
Well, yeah, I think when they were working on Alien Covenant, he was like, yeah, I'm only going to get 3 films out of this.
Well, it's also because Covenant was part 3, though. Covenant wasn't part 2.
Yeah.
Part 2 is the little prequel movie of Fassbender dropping the Swarm.
Yes.
That would have been a film.
Well, a lot of the... Because I remember, because I was a massive Prometheus fan.
Yeah.
I just love Fassbender. I love his character. I'm just like, oh yeah, I love this shit. And I remember, 2013 stuff, the leaks coming out about what the second one was going to be called and stuff, and what it was going to be about. I think at one point it was called something like Alien Dream or something like that. It's a very strange name. Or Alien Awakening or Apostle or something.
No, I think it's Awakening.
Awakening, yeah. And a lot of it was going to be...
was the
Paradise
the
Lost.
Alien 5 film.
Yes.
No, Paradise Lost was the film that was going to have Sigourney Weaver in it.
Oh, no. No, Paradise Lost was going to be the Prometheus sequel, because the whole point of it was going to be... So Naomi Rapace was going to be main protagonist again, and David was just going to be a head attached to your waist, by a rope.
It was be about her killing the engineers, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was going to be essentially them too, and he wasn't going to get his body back. So it was going to be quite interesting, and it wasn't really going to go into David creating them and stuff, which I kind of prefer David creating them, because it brings the themes of Prometheus and Alien Covenant together, where it's all about creation, and David feels like he... I don't want to go into this. I'll talk about this if we do an episode someday. Love those films. I'm sorry.
The issue with those films, that there's just nonsense, the protomorph at the end of Prometheus.
Yeah, Ridley Scott didn't want that. That was thrown in because people wanted to fucking see a fucking alien at the end,
the shrine in the cave too.
Oh yes, the mural.
Yeah.
Did you read the comic
of what happened to that fucking protomorph? It became a planet, didn't it? They go to the same planet years later, and it's all quite different, and they're inside the structure, and they're like, what's going on stuff, and everything's all different to what you saw in the film. It turns out they're actually inside the protomorph, because the protomorph ate essentially all the goo because there was nothing else to eat, so he basically just grew massively. That's just really fucking cool. That was such an excellent idea.
Yeah, I don't know. The problem with this, it's a grey area, because we didn't know if we were going to get Alien Covenant, and we did eventually. And Ridley Scott still does want to make this. He's just kind of working on Napoleon at the minute, and I think it was going ahead, then the Fox merger happened.
Last I heard, Fassbender, Your Woman, and Danny McBride are all still set to come. Are still set to come back.
They have contracts, still, and I think it was going to be the closer, and I think with the merger, everything kind of got thrown up in the air. But they are still working on it. I don't know if Disney are going to be smart and see how this Alien TV show works out, because it's going to be shit. So I think after that they'll do the third film, which will make sense.
Probably
but the problem is, will he be old? You know, will he be able to do it like at his age?
He'll just hand over the script, I'm guessing.
I think he'll just do a Blade Runner situation. He'll just produce it.
Yeah. Because when are they going to cross it back over?
What?
Oh, we could do an entire episode on this.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Well, also, like, we can talk about the fucking Neil Blomkamp film that got cancelled.
I know. Well, have you heard about the amount of times they've tried to cross over the franchises again since Requiem?
No. Several.
They tried to do it at the end of Predators.
Yeah.
They tried to do it at the end. There was one piece of concept art drawn up of... So at the end of... You know the suit at the end of the Predator?
Mm.
They were going to have someone in that originally, and there were all sorts of people. They threw it up in the air. Arnold was one.
Yeah.
Ripley was one, I think.
Don't know how that would make any sense.
It was just concept art.
It just didn't make sense.
Like, anytime they don't really know what to do, they're just like, and they're writing a Predator film, they'll just be like, and then they got saved by colonial marines.
Mental.
It's literally every time they don't know how to end it, they just say, then marines come in.
Yeah,
and it's revealed to be a Yutani ship.
Well, that's the problem. If they're going to do one, they have to have it set in sort of the alien time. Not the alien timeline, but the alien time frame.
Yeah.
You know, because it just makes more sense. And you can have colonial marines in there, which is always more powerful as relatable characters.
Well, that's what the games always did.
Yeah, and it was
they were always
just
set
fucking
in
smart,
the alien time frame.
Yeah. Which
It
I never
made more sense.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't, but I
So
think it's because they always
AVP,
go very Predator with those films rather than very Alien.
Well, it's because you can make the Predators characters, you can't make the aliens characters.
Yeah. Because you can't really make Predator villain, because it is kind of like respect. They're kind of an anti-hero. It's very weird.
Yeah. Well, they're all built on respect.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Except for the Predator, where they're actually
that's why
evil.
People want them in Japan, because I think they like the idea of having that kind of like traditional sword fight at the end between like a samurai and a predator.
Listen, I'd love that idea. I just don't think it actually works because of, you know, where it's set. You know,
Japan's pretty fucking hot.
Yeah. Oh, unless you do like a post-nuke disaster.
That'd be cool. The thing is, as long as Scott's around, they won't do another crossover because Scott won't. Scott hates it.
Mm-hmm. James Cameron likes it.
James Cameron just likes things that are cool, though.
Yeah, he likes...
James Cameron liked the last two Terminator films.
Yeah. Well, I was paid to say that anyways.
I just don't think he cares.
Mm.
I don't think that he's paid to like it. I think he was like, did you like it? He was like, yeah, it's alright. I think he genuinely just gets a kick out of seeing Arnold on screen.
Yeah.
He probably goes, it's Arnold. Look at him. He's great.
Oh.
He's saying the stuff I wrote. Fucking Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice 2.
6 times.
So,
this time you got to say it 6 times to get him to appear.
In 1990, Tim Burton was, he commissioned a sequel, Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian. Right?
Yep.
It went through several studio rewrites, right? I turned into Johnson Ross there. I do that often with my words.
Or you just turned into Warner Brothers. Had to be rewrited.
Porky Pig. After multiple studio rewrites, right? In 97, they were like, oh no, fuck it, this is getting cancelled. So I think at one point Kevin Smith was offered This is when he was gonna do, and we'll talk about it in a minute, Superman Lives, right?
Oh God.
Because he was offered, it's like, oh, do you want to do this really shitty rom-com rewrite? Do you want to do Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian, or do you want to do the Superman thing? And he was like, I'll do the Superman thing. So yeah, and then 2011, they were like, right, we'll start doing it again. And then 2013, Winona Ryder was like, oh, I'll do it. But this was in the period of time where Winona Ryder was kind of like, you're not in anything.
Yeah,
Stranger Things hadn't come out yet. She was in that very weird Jason Statham film.
Even Keaton wasn't in anything.
Yeah. And then 2015, it was announced that the script was finished and that Burton intended to start filming by the end of the year, and that Keaton and Ryder were going to come back. And then
is it still Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian?
I think it had changed at that point.
Okay.
And it was more of, right, it is set like years later or whatever, 27 years later or whatever. And then Warner in 2019 said they wanted to do a sequel. Or no, they said it was going to be shelved, sorry. But then, February of this year, 2022, the sequel was announced. Brad Pitt is going to be the producer. Keaton and Winona Ryder are coming back. And they were meant to start shooting this summer. I don't know if they have. I doubt they have. I don't know who's directing it, if Tim Burton's going to be doing it. I don't know what's happening. But apparently it's on the way. I think now's the best time to do it because these two actors are kind of at their height again.
Yeah, people like him again.
So, like, it is, and this is kind of the last time they could do it. But I doubt it's coming out now. Like, even
you don't
though...
think?
Well, the problem is, they've no one to direct it. Tim Burton's busy doing his weird fucking Wednesday Addams Family thing.
But if Hocus Pocus 2's come out in the end...
Yeah, but something like that is, we'll get a random director to do it, we can shoot that in 2 months. You know.
I assume that's what they do with the Beetlejuice too.
That's true, actually, at the same time. And when was the last time Tim Burton made a good film?
Big Eyes?
Sorry, when has Tim Burton made a good film?
Yeah. Last film I can remember...
Big Fish.
Big Eyes.
I suppose Sweeney Todd was alright.
When was Big Fish?
2001?
Was it Big Eyes? Which was the one about the painter?
Yeah, it was Big Eyes. It wasn't good though.
It's for a Tim Burton film at the time. That was around the time his film quality was Dark Shadows.
Yeah. God. Yeah. Superman Lives?
Superman fucking dies. Yeah, go for it.
So you probably know all of this, do you? Or do you know 100?
I've seen.
You've seen the video as well?
I've seen the Kevin Smith video. You showed me the Kevin Smith video.
It's such a great video. Actually, we're not going to talk about it. Everyone just go watch that Kevin Smith video talking about Superman Lives. It's so much better, and we can't explain it better than that.
Than how we'll ever do it.
Yeah.
From a man who worked on it.
Yeah, like, brilliant.
Here's a fun one. Do you remember Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog?
I've never heard of that in my entire life.
So, during the writer's strike of 2007, wasn't it?
Yes.
Joss Whedon and his whole crew made an internet mini-series, which is then basically a half-hour short film called Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along Blog.
Why?
It's cult following. I actually quite like it, but it has Neil Patrick Harris as the lead. Nathan Fillion in it, and Felicia Day. As and it was an internet musical, and it was basically a sequel was talked about for fucking years. And it was around the time when Avengers came out that he was like, okay, I'm gonna start working on it. And then, well, basically he became so busy with fucking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
That, like, he just said, okay, well, we'll leave it for a bit. And then Age of Ultron came around, and then he signed on for that.
Yeah.
But they had it written, and they had the songs written, because apparently there's been, like, social gatherings where Neil Patrick Harris has sang them.
Okay.
And yeah, but we haven't heard anything since 2015.
And it's definitely not going to happen now because of Joss Whedon.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because basically what kept happening was Neil Patrick Harris was also too busy. He was too busy doing his stuff, and Whedon was too busy with Marvel. And then by the time Neil Patrick Harris was just like, I'm getting too old to play like an awkward internet geek who's a supervillain. I'm a 50-year-old dad.
Well, like the problem with Joss Whedon, and this is going into Batgirl. Remember his Batgirl film?
Yeah.
I read his Wonder Woman script, and it has to be one of the most sexist scripts I've ever read in my entire life. It's I can't describe it, Adam. It is one of the most sexist things I've ever read. Like, here, I'm gonna type this up. Oh my god, like, it's so awful. I think he was gonna get Kobe Smulders, from How I Met Your Mother and Marvel, essentially. I want to see if I can get like just an excerpt from it. The whole script is online. Where's this here? Just the description of some things, right? Diana reaches the middle of the floor. She raises her arm and holds still, turns her palm in and brings her arm down with ritualistic rigidity. This goes very badly. Then she moves her leg back and turns fluidly, a curve rippling up her body as she folds into a dance that is sensual, ethereal, and wicked sexy.
Wicked sexy.
This is a script. This is an actual script he got paid to do, right?
You knew he was just beating himself off while doing that too.
Because it was going to be Steve and Diana, right? This is some of the dialogue Steve was going to say. Reading okay, you're a hell of a woman, but Diana, you can't fly. Imagine that line. I mean, I imagine it's his version of the Batgirl script was just as bad as the one we probably got.
I mean, fucking hopefully it wasn't about a very young Barbara Gordon.
Christ, that wouldn't surprise me though.
Would not surprise me.
Steve, that's what Steve said. Your whole life on an island with only women and you kiss like that. Diana, it's an interesting story, Steve. It can't possibly be as good as the one I'm making up right now. Who writes that?
Porn writers?
It's like a bad porno.
It's like a bad porn.
Oh.
Speaking of bad pornos, Sherlock Holmes 3.
Yes. So this is... Obviously, Downey was busy. Yep. Fucking... What do you call him? Guy Ritchie was busy. And... I think now's the only time. Like now, we are going to get it. I think. I think Downey's trying to get Johnny Depp as the villain.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Because I know he's playing. I know he's kind of getting roles again now. Although that's been in development hell for years. Although I think it works, that film, because of the ending of the second one.
Well, so this is what I've said. It has to be set 10 years after the end of the second one.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't want it to be like, I don't want it to be 4 years, I want it to be 5, I want it to be fucking 10 years. I want Sherlock has to be been dead for 10 years.
Yeah. Well, I can say they'll do that just because Downey looks a lot older now.
Yeah.
And Jude Law.
Well, I mean, he always had like the long hair and the beard anyway. I remember fucking, most of my information's more anecdotal here anyway. I think this film was supposed to come out fucking ages ago. I think originally it was probably supposed to be 2015.
Yeah, I'd say 2-year gap, yeah.
Keep in mind, Downey was, I think, originally supposed to wind down Marvel after Iron Man 3.
Well, he was only going to go up until Civil War originally. Yeah. Because the original ending of Civil War is Steve fucks off, leaves Tony in the bunker, and then Zemo blows up the bunker and kills Iron Man.
But then he, of course, did 3 more films.
It would have been such a better ending with that character.
I like the Iron Man ending a lot.
Oh, I know. I just like the fact that he does have such a deeply depressing ending.
Yeah, most of my issues with the Iron Man character, it's rooted in the fact that Iron Man 3 should have come after Age of Ultron.
Yes. Or rewrite Age of Ultron.
No, I still think you have to... It just makes the most sense for it to... Even with how Civil War flows, it makes the most sense for him to retire as Iron Man at the end of Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
And then the only reason he comes back to be Iron Man is because Cap.
Yeah. Fair.
Which then makes sense to have the line when he's like, frankly, I said I'd stop, and frankly, I don't want to stop.
Yeah. No, that
Ultron.
Yeah.
Ultron was a fucking... I doubt Pepper would be like, Pepper, it's like fucking Incredibles. It's like, but where is my super suit? I put it away. Oh. But an asteroid's about to fall on the Earth. Asteroid on the Earth, I am your wife. The only rock that I want to see is one on my finger.
Well, right, we'll speed through a ton of them now, right? Iron Man 4. The Crow remake.
Happening now.
Jason Momoa originally. That has test footage. It is actually happening now, which my opinion is I don't want to see it because they're just doing the character of Eric Draven instead of doing a completely brand new character, like the other sequels did, and the other Crow books did.
A soft reboot.
I think it's going to be a direct remake
of the first one.
Yeah, I don't think it's a reboot. I think it's an actual remake. Which I don't want to see. Akira. The Akira remake, of course, one of the most famous Japanese mangas and animes made. For years, this is the list of directors that were going to do it. Stephen Norrington, famously from Blade. Obviously, he retired.
Our old friend.
Huh?
Our old friend.
Our old friend. Christopher Nolan.
Okay.
George Miller.
Ooh.
Jordan Peele, and the person who has actually taken on to do it is Taika.
Oh.
And he was gonna start working on it, but then they were like, "We want you to do Thor," and I hope he doesn't get to do it now.
It's Star Wars now, so I think it should be fine.
Yeah, well, my problem with the Akira remake, I don't think they should do one because anime doesn't translate to
it never has.
Because the problem with anime is anime works because anime is what you do because you can't do it in live action, and it's literally a moving painting, you know. So hopefully that never happens. Gambit, Adam, would you like to talk?
I had Gambit on my list.
Would you like to talk about Gambit?
I don't actually know the story of Gambit. I just know that.
Oh really?
So Tatum was cast immediately. That's the one thing that happened.
It was before that.
Oh, actually, I forgot my one piece of anecdotal.
Taylor Kitsch,
Sherlock Holmes,
who played him in X-Men Origins Wolverine, was originally gonna do it.
Shit, yeah, of course he was gonna do it first.
Yes, and then for some reason Channing Tatum all of a sudden was just like, "I'll do it."
I remember I had Do you remember CEX used to have like at the front of the shop like the movies they'd recommend and stuff?
Yeah.
I remember they had Battleship there.
Yeah.
And the only thing they had to say about Battleship, because they used to have the sticker with the little thing written about it in the corner, all they had on Battleship was, "It's Gambit from X-Men."
Famously, we should have talked about that. The Hasbro universe.
Oh yeah, that was supposed to cross over.
Yeah, it was Battleship with aliens for some reason. I don't know why it couldn't have just been a war film. With Rihanna. Famously, they're doing Monopoly. There's a couple others in production at the minute.
They have Snake Eyes.
That's true, yes.
No. Transformers. We don't know what's happening with that.
We don't know.
So we know there's.
It is coming out.
Another film's being shot.
2 years ago.
We don't.
Well, last year. Yeah, last year was finished. It was meant to come out this year, but got delayed for some reason.
It's called Beast something.
Yeah.
It's not. So
Beast
it's not
Wars
Beast or. It's not, but it's not a Beast Wars film.
Yeah.
It's not based on Beast Wars. It won't have Optimus Primal.
Ron
it has Optimus. Oh no, he might play Optimus Primal. Maybe it does have Primal.
Yeah, no, Ron Perlman's playing Optimus Primal. Yeah.
Even Optimus
it's not connected to Beast Wars though. That's what they said.
It's not connected to Beast Wars.
Yeah, that's what they said.
So Beast Wars is set thousands of years after Transformers, but also thousands of years before Transformers.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know how this series is going to work. Because in the original one, basically, it's Transformers thousands of years after go back in time to prehistoric era, and that's where they are. So it's technically pre-Transformers, but it's also post-Transformers.
Don't know how this is going to work. But at this stage, I don't think anyone knows how the Transformers franchise is going to work.
So this started... Actually, this is an accidental one. Another accidental one. Because it started as a sequel to...
Bumblebee.
No, it started as Transformers 6.
Oh, yes, actually, yes.
And then became a sequel to Bumblebee. Because Transformers 5 did fucking horrendously.
Yeah.
So before Transformers...
Because 4 was set in China and did amazingly well.
before 4 or 5 came out, they did the Transformers Workshop.
Mm-hmm.
Where they just pitched hundreds and hundreds of ideas. Just everything.
Oh, yeah, this was before 5, yeah.
Was it before 5? Okay. So...
Yeah, because it was like, we're going to do a World War II one. We're gonna
Which is why they teased all of these in 5. They're going to do the
Medieval
Night one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a Bumblebee one.
But like the whole idea was, they wrote this out, and it was like medieval time one, like, you know, King Arthur and shit, and then, you know, it was gonna have a dragon, and then they were like, oh, yeah, we're gonna do the weird Nazi World War II one, and, you know, of course, Michael Bay was like, yeah, we'll just do that now. Both of them, like, in the one film. And then that was what happened with 5.
Well, it would have been teases for later, I'm guessing. Like seeing if it would have, like, gotten interest or not.
Problem is, had Transformers 5 been any of those, it would have been better.
Yeah, it was because they were trying to lead to Unicron. But yeah. I don't know why 5 films is too long to lead to Unicron.
Yeah.
Unicron is the end of your first trilogy.
Well, what do you do after?
Yeah, well, you can't.
Unicron is like the end game type situation.
But it's like they never teased Unicron. Like, that was the first time that we heard about Unicron.
Because the problem with Unicron is, well, yeah, that this weird thing with Unicron where it is like, Unicron is like Dr. Manhattan in a way.
Yeah.
So like every universe is Dr. Manhattan, or every universe is Unicron, is just the same Unicron.
That's only sometimes.
Really?
Transformers. So that was the case, that there was only one Unicron in Primus until they used a magic sword to make that not the case. Because sometimes they got rid of it because they changed how Unicron works. Originally Unicron's always like a planet, but they changed it recently in the last reboot of the franchise, which was, I think it was called The Dark Energon.
I mean, that franchise is just kind of strange. I don't know what. I think it needs a reboot at this stage.
It needs an animated reboot.
Yeah.
No, it got that, but the Netflix series wasn't that successful.
No, it wasn't. Right, let's burn through some. Star Trek 4, written by...
Oh, Jesus. Tarantino.
Recently got shelved by 2 years ago. And
with Chris Hemsworth and Chris Pine teaming up.
Yeah, it's not happening now.
No.
The Sandman film.
It became a series.
I think that mainly happened because like they were trying to do one for years, and then Neil Gaiman was actually the one that shut it down.
No, they constantly both had series and films in development, because I looked into this, and they were just always trying to do it. The last series that nearly got taken off was going to be led by the CW, and Gaiman was a bit panicky, but that was when he shut down. But Warner Bros. Didn't want to shut down. He's like, no, but there's a film in development, so he let Goyer's film move ahead just so they wouldn't make a CW show of the Sandman.
Because that was weird. Because like Gaiman has always said and stated he never wanted a Sandman film because Sandman is so in depth that you couldn't do it in a film, and if you were to do a film, it would be so it would be so streamlined that you wouldn't get the full thing from it. So that's why he was always like, it had to be a TV show.
All over the place. The show is frankly all over the place.
Well, the show was announced ages ago, and then it only got basically greenlit because of the success of the audiobooks that were acted by James McAvoy, Martin Sheen, big cast, like, and then Netflix were like, yeah, we'll do one. I have not seen the show. I heard it's good.
I'm nearly finished it.
Have you finished it?
Not yet. I'm like 2 episodes left.
Is it good?
David Thewlis is in it.
Oh yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
So you gotta watch it now. I Am Legend 2. Apparently, it's finally happening.
Yeah. So.
With Michael B. Jordan and Will Smith.
Yeah, I don't know how this is gonna work, because a lot of people didn't.
Famously.
People who read the book hate the film because the film turned the vampires into zombies. Because it's actually about vampires.
Isn't it supposed to be a twist that they're vampires?
No, like the whole thing is that they are vampires.
Yeah.
And the film's kind of like, we'll do zombies. Zombies are popular again because Dawn of the Dead and that. But they don't really do it as zombies. It's kind of a weird thing. They're kind of like humans.
The big issue was they cut the original ending of the film.
Yes.
And he survived in the original ending of the film.
Yes.
But didn't survive in the theatrical cut.
Well, everyone prefers the original ending.
That's because the original ending actually is an ending compared to the fucking shite that was in the...
Yeah.
So if anyone doesn't know, end of theatrical cut.
Spoilers.
End of the film. He's in his basement. He has one of them tied up that he's basically being trying to study.
Yeah, so he can get a cure.
He has these two humans also with him who I think are immune.
Yeah.
And he's like, get the fuck out of here, I'll hold them off. And he dives into them with a grenade, and that's the theatrical cut, and that's the end of the film.
Yeah, and then they survive, and you see a wee thing of them or whatever.
In the original cut, he sends them off, says, I'll hold him back. But when they break through, he realizes they don't actually want to attack him, they're just trying to get their mate back.
Yeah.
And they don't touch him, and he just realizes, oh, I'm an asshole, and the film just ends.
Yeah.
Because the only reason they've been bothering him is because he kidnapped one of them.
Yeah.
And he kept setting up traps and killing them, so that's why they hated him.
Yeah, so weird. Far better ending. Don't know.
The original.
I can see the sequel getting cancelled now because of the Will Smith thing.
Or else, I don't know how heavily his production would have been involved in it. So if his production company were heavily involved, he might try and actually fast track it to get his name back in.
Yeah. I just don't. I don't know if it's something people want. Famously, BVS is in that film.
Yeah.
Or teased. Gremlins 3.
Finally happening?
Very weird. It's meant to come out. I think it was going to come out this year, then it's coming out next year now. I don't think it's going to happen. It's very weird. I don't know if...
Is it filmed?
No director. It is a writer. Problem is they're doing a TV show, Netflix TV show, at the minute.
Based on Gremlins?
Yeah, it's something Mogwai. It's Mogwai related anyways. It's like Legend of the Mogwai or something. I don't really know what it's about. And then I think off the back of that they're going to try and do the third one. I don't think we need a third Gremlins film, personally.
I haven't even seen Gremlins 2.
Gremlins 2 is very fucking funny, and you shouldn't take it seriously whatsoever, because if you do, you'll be pained. Although the first one is better. Should we do a Christmas episode on on Gremlins? I'm not watching that TV show though. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen though. That third one, it's very weird. It's something that could just happen out of nowhere. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, it just probably won't.
Probably won't happen.
Any others do you have?
That's the end of my list. We didn't really touch on Gambit too much. We kind of just sacked that.
Not much to talk about.
We ended up just talking about Battleship.
Pretty much.
Oh yeah, I had my one anecdotal story about Sherlock Holmes 3 to finish us off.
Perfect.
So, famous Sherlock Holmes, people remember it for its slow-mo shots.
Mm-hmm.
Who filmed those slow-mo shots, Alex?
Gavin Free.
From Rooster Teeth. I remember on a Let's Play fucking years ago, this is probably about 2013, 2014, after Sherlock Holmes 2, they're all sitting playing, and you hear Gavin's phone go off, and they're like, oh, what is it, Gavin? He goes dead silent, like, wait, what is it, Gavin? He just goes, they're making Sherlock Holmes 3, and just puts his phone down. Yeah, he does a lot of, because he did the first one as well, didn't he? Yeah, he quit after that.
Yeah.
Well, the issue, he didn't own the camera. They owned the camera.
Oh, the Phantom.
And he got to use the camera for slow-mo guys from working with them.
Oh, okay.
And then Rooster Teeth bought him a slow-mo camera, and then bought slow-mo guys.
Nice. They're very
expensive. Slow-mo guys. Yeah, but I think everyone is a fan.
But I think Rooster Teeth were like, right, he can use this on our videos as well.
Yeah, well, slow-mo guys was nearly as big as Rooster Teeth without being anything to do with them. It's
such a great side hobby of his.
He made so much money from that.
Yeah. Well, paid for the camera.
That's why they always joke about him being Gavin rich. It was always Jeff would be like, you're rich, Jeff. Yeah, I'm not Gavin rich.
Sure, that's what they used to say. They used to be like, I know it's a big tangent on this episode.
It's the end of the episode anyway.
Yeah.
You can leave now if you want. Thank you to Buzzsprout.
Thank you, Buzzsprout, for hosting as always. And please go and listen to us on YouTube at The State Podcast, but also follow us on Instagram at The State Podcast, or State of Podcast, I believe. And once again, don't go on the Twitter. We don't use that. And thank you. That was very enjoyable. It was a nice wee off-cuff sort of episode. I think it was very enjoyable.
Yeah, we didn't have to watch any films.
Yeah, I think me and Adam, our next one's going to be Hellboy, I believe, is it?
I have Hellboy 1 watched.
Perfect. It'll definitely be Hellboy. Yeah, no, I think that'll be a fun one. And we can talk about... If I
watch the film, it means we'll do it after the Army of the Dead incident.
Well, that's why we didn't talk about Hellboy 3 in this episode, which we will in that one. So there's your teaser.
Oh. See you in 2 weeks.